Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sarah in the Universe, and welcome to my episode 6 review of The Boys Season 4. Oh boy. Oh boys. This was a doozy, and yeah, from the title of the video, this would be the first time in The Boys' history that I was ever really disappointed with an episode, and we'll get into why and all of that, but there are also things I really liked about it. It wasn't all bad, so we will get into that. But I want to thank those of you who are subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for staying subscribed and for checking out another review of The Boys with me. All right, let's get into it, everybody. Okay, so I'm not going to recap word for word what happened, and as you know, always with these reviews, spoilers ahead, so if you've not seen episode 6 of The Boys, I would recommend you stay away from this video. Now, there's a lot that I can't, tell you or even show you about what happened in this episode, because this had to have been one of the nastiest episodes yet. As per usual for The Boys, as they are known to be, some very dirty stuff going on. Now, with that being said, okay, this is how it's gonna work. I'm gonna get out my negative out of the way, which might take up, a good chunk of this video. I try not to make these reviews too long, and then I'll get into what I liked, okay? Now, with that being said, I realized that, obviously me being a fan of The Boys, as you can see, I know that a huge, and also I never read the comics, but I know from the comics too, the comics are just very extreme, very just vulgar, dirty. I get it. I know that's what this show's been doing for the longest time. And, that's personally not why I tune into the show. I love the show for the characters, for the writing, for the dramatics of it all, right? That's why I love the show. Personally, I don't care for the raunchy, dirty stuff. It's fine if you do. I'm not saying it's... That's what The Boys does. That's why they're The Boys. That's what makes them The Boys, okay? And I never, even though there have been some really extreme things in the past episodes, personally, I did not like what happened this episode with Huey. I thought they went too far. Personally, I thought they went too far. If you didn't, that's totally fine. I know myself, as well as a lot of other viewers and fans, had the same sentiment. And actually, I don't even think I would be personally bringing it up in this video if I didn't see the outrage that I did. Even on places like Reddit, where I feel like most of the time when I have an opinion like that and I go on Reddit and I see that most people disagree with me, I'm like, oh, I'm not even going to bother bringing this up because, what's the point? But, seeing the reaction that people had to what happened with Huey in, Tech Knight's house. You guys know Tech Knight from Gen V. I'm not even going to get into that dude. I mean, you guys, how he's like. I can't talk about it here because, YouTube, But, I get it. I get it. However, in my last review for episode 5, I talked about how I felt like Huey was just being really tormented this season. Now, I get that, that's just TV, that's stories. Bad things are going to happen to characters, painful things. Him losing his dad was awful. And it was still really great performance by Simon Pegg and Jack Quaid. And great storyline. It was painful. But it was very odd to me how in this episode, in the beginning, they go on this Made in Manhattan tour, which is funny, and that's what, they were like, oh, Dad loved this and this movie, and so they just, dumped, his dad's ashes, but it seemed like Huey, they kind of moved him quick on to grieving his father. Like, he didn't really have that time, and we know how close Huey was to his dad, so that felt a bit odd and rushed, and a bit like, okay, here we go. And then they jump, remember in if you watch my last episode 5 review, I was like, I miss Huey with the boys. Like, I get, with the storyline with the dad, he has to be in the hospital, but he hasn't really been with the boys, Butcher and them this whole time. Really just that one time with Kimiko, I think, and, here and there in between. But it was very few. And so finally he comes back to get back to work with the boys. And they put him through, like, the worst, I can't say the word, but the worst whatever. And I was just like, are you kidding me? I thought they went too far. Personally, I thought they went too far. Having Huey go through all of that. And Tech Knight, by the way, was his childhood hero, if you didn't know. So having Huey go through all that with his childhood hero, just like days after his father passed away, that to me was like downright evil. Personally, as a viewer and as a fan, and I love Huey, I think Huey's one of the most innocent characters on this show. He's kind of like the heart of the show, in my opinion, and I thought it was very just like evil. Like, what purpose does this serve to make Huey go through all this? First, okay, he lost his dad. Now you're making him go through this. And that scene with Huey in the Tech Night Cave, it just kept going on and on and on. I was like, oh my God. Personally, and a lot of people on Reddit agreed with me. It went far, far too long, And I didn't understand the purpose. I didn't think it was funny. I was looking down at my iPad the whole time. I'm like, I'm not watching this. This is far too uncomfortable. I thought it was the most uncomfortable thing out of all the things the show has done that I really could not even watch. And for it to happen to poor Huey, by his childhood hero, days after his father passed away, I thought that was downright evil and disgusting. And I didn't think it was funny. And, I didn't know if I wanted to bring this up or not, just because I was waiting to see if some comment would be made by the showrunner. Some fans had pulled up. I'm not going to post it here, but it's on Twitter and stuff because, it has some words I don't think YouTube is going to like. But there was an interview with the showrunner where he said that thing happening to Huey in Tech Knight's cave was actual beautiful comedy, I think is what he said. And to me, I don't think that's beautiful comedy. I think that's downright evil and disgusting. And in my opinion, I get that The Boys is known for doing really outrageous stuff here. But, you have to understand how that's going to come off to some people who are, kind of sensitive to that. You're saying, and he I believe in the interview, he literally said, it would be funny if this happened to Huey by his childhood hero. That's just so wrong and gross and evil, especially after his dad passes away in the previous episode. Are you kidding? And we've seen Huey go through nothing but trauma this season. I thought that was absolutely disgusting and gross. I'm actually surprised, even for The Boys, that made it out of the writer's room. I was really disgusted, guys. And I know some of you might think it wasn't that big of a deal. That's fine. That's your opinion. You might be saying, that's the show. It's going to do crazy, shocking things. Again, and this is going to tie into another one of my, I don't want to say complaints about season 4. When I watched the first 3 episodes of season 4, when they dropped them on the premiere day, I loved them. I thought this was going to be one of the best seasons yet. And I think this season has had really great moments. But in my opinion, it just kind of feels all over the place. The writing feels disjointed. We go from having really emotional, traumatic moments to just stuff like this that's just crazy, outlandish. And I know some of you are going to be like, well, that's the show. It just doesn't flow as well as it did in other seasons, in my opinion. Of course, I'm going to have to wait till these last few episodes drop. I believe 2 are left to really comment on that. But overall, I'm just kind of like, this feels very disjointed, out of place. Then why when Homelander is the main villain on the show, the guy that we've been going after, right, for 4 seasons now, do I feel like Huey is getting the most torment and torture more than him? It feels very weird. I don't understand this whole picking on Huey thing. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's evil. I think it makes no sense for the show that praises themselves on being the good guys standing up to the bad guys. I don't get it at all. I think it's very, very weird, very out of place. I get that Huey's been picked on in the other seasons, but this one in particular is just so bad, with his dad dying, and then in the next episode, that awful, awful stuff happens to him in Tech Knight's cave. I don't like it. And in fact, I'm not even going to get into spoilers because I don't read spoilers. But, as we were talking about this on Reddit, some people were like, hey, we read spoilers. You may not like the next few episodes. Because, yeah, apparently, I didn't read what it is. I don't want to know. I don't even want to know. Something bad's going to happen to Huey again. So if that ends up being true, expect another disappointed video from me. Because honestly, what is this season? Is this just pick on Huey? Is Huey suddenly worse than Homelander? I don't understand. And speaking of Homelander, okay, this is my other thing. Speaking of Homelander, why does Homelander feel like he's taken a back seat this season? I feel like the one shining moment Homelander really had was that episode at the Vought facility where he brings the cake. That was great. But other than that, I feel like Homelander has become an afterthought on this show where he's the star of, right? And again, that's all on the writing. I'm only critiquing the writing. The cast is amazing. I love the cast. I love everything about them. Everyone else is doing a great job. It's the writing that I have an issue with. It's the writing and the choices that are being made in a season 4, where season 5 they're ending. I'm like, what do you guys have planned? So that's coming from a very I am a pretty devoted fan. Okay, I've actually met the cast. I've mentioned this in other videos. I want to keep mentioning it in everybody. I'm a devoted fan. Okay, that's where the concern is coming from. And I think as a fan, you don't have to love every single thing they're doing. You're allowed to critique it, and that's what I'm doing. I just want better, I want better. The show is better, and I think, it really deserved better. But that's my critique on the Huey stuff. I just didn't like it. I'm scared for what's coming, for what people apparently said it's coming. We'll talk about it then. But yeah, I really did not like, this is the first time I actually feel like The Boys, believe it or not, went too far. And I did not like that, okay? Huey deserves better. This is ridiculous. I don't care if it's a show and it's a fictional character. I still didn't like it. I still didn't like the way they went about it. All right, but, you know, another big thing that happened was we finally found out that Jeffrey D. Morgan's character, I believe his name is Joe, I just keep calling him Jeffrey D. Morgan, that he is actually a hallucination in Butcher's mind. Now, a lot of fans guessed this early on, and I believe them, and so, to me, while it was a cool thing, it just wasn't as shocking anymore, sadly, because a lot of people had already guessed that, and they were very good about guessing it, so, I don't know, maybe that should tell the writers something next season. They should kind of think of some things that people aren't going to get right away, because, you know, people were bringing up that, you know, well, it's kind of obvious to tell when, you know, Butcher and Joe are always alone when they're talking to each other. It's kind of easy to get that, right? So, well, it was, you know, I think a cool idea. Unfortunately, the fans are becoming too smart. They got that. So there was that, and my favorite part of the episode, in fact, let's get in some positivity here, of the season as well. A-Train has been the star of this season. He has had the best character development, okay? And for a character that in the earlier seasons, I was so annoyed. I was like, A-Train, oh my god, he's so annoying, right? My gosh, has he become my favorite this season with, you know, him trying to do good for himself, do good for his family, you know, seeing Vought and Homelander for what they truly are. And then, you know, now he's working with, I love his scenes, by the way. I feel like I haven't talked about MM enough. He's probably my second favorite of this season. Laz Alonso, fantastic. I love his scenes, you know, on his own. Really great episode for him. Him and A-Train are the two MVPs of this season, in my opinion. But yes, there was this scene where, so MM has a heart attack at the tech night party, and, you know, Kimiko's like, and I also thought that was really creative how Kimiko was using the book titles to communicate with A-Train. I thought that was really cool. And, yeah, she gets A-Train to take, MM to the hospital, and, you know, when, A-Train drops MM off the hospital, he puts him on a gurney, this kid looks up and sees A-Train, you know, saving this guy, and the look on that kid's face and the look on A-Train, seeing that kid, I think it's just one of the best moments of the entire show. You know, this kid finally seeing a member of the Seven actually saving someone, where it's not a movie, it's not for PR, he's actually doing it. Oh my god, beautiful moment, beautiful scene, I freaking loved it, and all that told me is I am very scared for A-Train. He has had the best character development. He has this beautiful scene, and obviously they are looking for the who leaked about the Starlight protesters, and I'm very scared for what's going to happen to A-Train, and I'm hoping we don't lose him. I'm hoping he stays. I'm hoping, because I would be so sad if we lost A-Train. Like, but that scene killed me. But it was such a beautiful scene. Well done on that scene. That was, chef's kiss. So good. Okay. Loved that. That was my high, my peak of the episode, and probably my peak of the season, too. And then, yes, there was some interesting stuff with Homelander and Firecracker. You know, she gives him a little offer that I won't get into on here, but if you saw it, you know, very funny how that episode, you know, aligned with 4th of July is all I'm going to say. Alright, so I don't want to make this too long. I got my rant out about, you know, I didn't like what's going on with Huey. Thought it's too far. I'm scared for these last few episodes, guys. I'm not going to lie. You know, I'm excited, but I'm like, people were warning me, so I don't know. You know, obviously we'll talk about it here. But, you know, I think this show, overall, season 4 has had some really great moments sprinkled on in between. But I feel like from right now, from episode 6, it's starting to feel a bit disjointed. Like, I don't know what we're really focusing on. There's so many plot lines and subplot lines going on that it's hard to keep up, and I just don't know. Is everything going to tie together in the end? I guess we'll have to see, and we'll talk about it more so then. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for another episode review of The Boys Season 4. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this episode and the season so far. Thank you guys for watching another video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Take care, everyone.